For centuries, tradition has been the guiding compass of the British monarchy. But today, all eyes are fixed on a decision that dares to defy convention. Prince George, second in line to the throne, now stands at a remarkable crossroads. Not a grand royal ceremony, not a historic tour abroad, but something far more personal, his education. And yet, behind what appears to be a simple matter lies a quiet conflict between William and Catherine, between tradition and transformation, between what is expected and what feels right. They have made a choice that has sent ripples through the United Kingdom, a choice that may forever reshape the future of Prince George and perhaps the monarchy itself. What truly happened behind palace walls? Why could the decision of a school shake the very pillars of royalty? And might this be a signal of an even greater shift silently unfolding? Join us as we unveil the story behind the shocking decision from William and Kate when Prince George's future took an unexpected turn. Education, for generations, has been more than the transmission of knowledge. Within the British royal family, it has long served as a tool of image-making, identity building, and silent diplomacy. Every school, every subject, every step along the path to adulthood carries a deeper responsibility to shape a symbol of the nation. Across the ages, members of the royal family have been sent to particular institutions, not solely for academic excellence, but because these places are rites of passage, sanctuaries of tradition, and factories of future monarchs. King Charles III, in his youth as Prince of Wales, was enrolled at Gordonstoun, a rugged boarding school tucked away in the Scottish Highlands. Renowned for its strict discipline, outdoor survival training, and physical endurance, Gordonstoun forged in Charles a sense of stoicism, self-restraint, and the austere masculinity of the old guard. But the royal playbook shifted with the next generation. Both of Charles's sons, Princes William and Harry, were sent to Eton College, the most prestigious boys' school in the land, just across the Thames from Windsor Castle. It was the perfect location, close to home, yet far enough from the noise of the outside world. But more significantly, Eton stands as a symbol of power, of pedigree, of elite succession. Eton College, the School of Kings, founded in 1440 by King Henry VI. Eton is more than a school. It is a crucible of Britain's ruling class. It has produced dozens of prime ministers, countless statesmen, and 2 princes of the realm. With its majestic Gothic architecture, time-worn classrooms, and fiercely independent boarding houses, Eton is often described as a kingdom in miniature, where boys are raised not as pupils, but as gentlemen in training. Here, teenage boys don black tailcoats, study classical literature, debate philosophy, practice archery, play polo, and master the art of dignified composure. Every detail, from the firmness of a handshake, the straightness of one's posture, to the refinement of one's argument, is a rehearsal for leadership in British society. For Prince William, Eton became a second home. Enrolled in 1990, William quickly embodied the ideal heir: academically capable, athletically gifted, socially poised. The school nurtured in him a public image of discipline, culture, and quiet charisma, a modern prince ready for duty. Harry, though more rebellious, would follow a few years later. While his path was more turbulent, he too was shaped by Eton's structured yet prestigious environment. At the time, the media coined the phrase the Eton effect, the transformation of royal boys into national figures, groomed for both political and ceremonial life. And so, when it came time for Prince George's education, few questioned the obvious path: heir to the throne, then naturally heir to Eton. But nothing is so simple anymore. The world has changed, and the monarchy, while still cloaked in ritual, is quietly undergoing a soft evolution. Catherine, Princess of Wales, is not a consort of the old mold. William is no longer the prince of a pre-digital era, and George, from the moment of his birth, has lived beneath a global spotlight. In 2025, a ripple of surprise spread through the public. Despite the ticking clock, the Wales family had not yet confirmed George's school, even as the Eton application deadline loomed less than a year away. Tradition was under scrutiny, long-standing assumptions were being challenged, and then, like thunder on a clear day, the press broke the story. George had been allocated a house at Eton, a subtle yet unmistakable confirmation that the decision had likely been made. But behind that decision lies a deeper question. Was it a united choice or a delicate compromise? A desire or a duty? A new chapter for this monarchy is unfolding, one not written in ceremony or power, but in classrooms, textbooks, and the quiet revolution of education. Behind the ancient walls of the royal palaces, where every tradition is carefully upheld and every gesture measured, a silent debate has quietly persisted for years. There were no raised voices, no public statements. Yet, according to People, Cosmopolitan, and other reputable sources, this has been the most significant disagreement between William and Kate since becoming parents. Kate, a modern mother in a traditional monarchy, born into a middle-class family without nannies or royal guards, Catherine Middleton was once an ordinary girl. She attended Marlborough College, a prestigious boarding school known for its progressive values. Unlike Eton, Marlborough welcomes both boys and girls, fosters artistic expression, and emphasizes personal growth over rigid royal molds. To Kate, education is not just about discipline. It's about emotional well-being, balance, and the bonds that hold a family together. She worries that Eton, with its strict routines, exclusivity, and high competitiveness, may leave Prince George feeling isolated, separated from his younger siblings, Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis. In one past interview, the princess once shared, "The closeness between siblings is the foundation of lifelong strength. I want my 3 children to grow up together, not divided by timetables or distanced by tradition." In her heart, a school like Marlborough, or any institution grounded in modern education, would allow all 3 children to learn, play, and grow as a family, as real children of a real home. William, the heir to tradition and the legacy of Eton. On the other hand, Prince William, a proud alumnus of Eton himself, carries a deep belief in its enduring value. To him, it was Eton's discipline, its competitiveness, and even its pressure that forged the strength he carries today. William sees Eton not merely as a school, but as a gateway into the upper echelons of British society, a training ground for future leadership, and a place where George could develop the tools necessary to one day wear the crown. If George is to be king one day, he must be trained like one, starting now. A close friend of William reportedly told People magazine, "Eton is legacy, it is prestige, it is a symbol of the Windsor lineage." To William, changing that, choosing anything else, would mean trading long-term preparation for short-term comfort. A quiet tug of war. According to close insiders, this disagreement has lasted for years, never erupting, but never truly disappearing. Every conversation about George's future brought with it a quiet tension. What appeared to be a simple decision about schooling was delayed multiple times. The couple even missed the usual application window for Eton, prompting the British press to speculate whether a serious divide had emerged behind palace doors. It was not until mid-2025, as George turned 12, that the public learned he had been allocated a house at Eton, a quiet yet firm confirmation that a decision had finally been made. But was it a joint decision or a compromise? Has Kate truly come to terms with it? Or has she, as many mothers do in royal life, chosen duty over instinct? That question, perhaps only the 2 of them will ever truly know. At Eton, the term house is far more than a simple boarding facility. It is home, the very place where Prince George will eat, sleep, study, grow, and above all, be welcomed into one of the most elite communities in the United Kingdom. Though Buckingham Palace has not released any official confirmation, the allocation of a house is widely regarded as a near certain signal. Prince George is expected to begin his studies at Eton in the academic year of 2026. From a young boy frequently seen in front of cameras with a shy smile, George is now poised to take his first steps into a world that will watch him closely, not only through the lens of the media, but through the ever-watchful eyes of the monarchy and the British public. A quiet compromise, or a choice from the heart? Speculation abounds. Some close sources have hinted that this may, in fact, be a reluctant concession from the Princess of Wales, a quiet nod of approval accompanied by a list of strict conditions, carefully designed to ensure George's emotional well-being remains protected. Another theory has emerged that George himself made the decision after visiting Eton with his parents the year before. He is said to have been captivated by the ancient library, the vast athletic grounds, and the enduring sense of tradition, a legacy that once shaped both his father and his uncle. Whatever the reason, one thing is certain: the royal family has crossed a defining threshold, and Prince George, at just 12 years of age, now stands at the heart of a story woven with heritage, emotion, and national expectation. Why would the schooling of a young boy send ripples across the United Kingdom? For any other child, the choice of school is a private, family matter. But for Prince George, second in line to the British throne, it is a deeply symbolic decision. Because at its heart, this is not merely about education. It is a question that echoes far beyond the classroom. Where is the monarchy headed? By choosing Eton, a centuries-old all-boys institution famed for its discipline and aristocratic stature, William and Catherine are sending a message loud and clear. We remain on the traditional path. Tradition is our foundation. And unsurprisingly, the press responded in chorus. The royal family is standing guard over its time-honored image, a world built upon hierarchy, exclusivity, and royal mystique. But what if they had chosen differently? What if George were to attend Marlborough, a co-educational, more progressive boarding school, or even one of the top public schools, as many political leaders have done? That would be an unmistakable signal. A new kind of monarchy, a future king shaped not behind gilded gates, but amidst the shared realities of modern Britain. And that is why this is no longer just a family decision. It is a political choice, one scrutinized by a nation searching for meaning. Because where a future king is educated and how he grows up tells the people much about the man and the monarch he will one day become. The media covered it relentlessly. Experts weighed in. Public opinion split in two. Conservatives hailed it as a wise and reassuring return to royal tradition. But many young Britons were disillusioned. Eton again, the same distant, outdated royal family. They understand one simple truth: the education of today will shape the king of tomorrow. And so, this conversation doesn't end at the gates of Eton. It touches upon a deeper tension within the modern monarchy. A quiet yet profound debate. Can the crown remain rooted in tradition while evolving to reflect a 21st century Britain, one that demands connection, transparency, and relevance in the digital age? The moment news broke that Prince George had been assigned to a specific house at Eton, the nation swiftly divided into two camps. On one side were the traditionalists, those who cherish heritage, and they were elated. To them, this was not merely a school placement. It was reassurance that the royal family remained anchored in its core identity. George is going to Eton. Britain still has its compass, wrote a senior columnist in The Telegraph. Now is not the time to break with tradition. In an unstable world, the monarchy must be a pillar of constancy, not of disruption, one user commented on X. But on the other side, the critics were just as vocal. Across forums, social media platforms, and television talk shows, many lambasted the decision as outdated, out of touch, and a regression into the last century. Why Eton? Why raise George in the same aristocratic bubble as generations before him? Questioned a columnist from The Guardian. This was an opportunity to move closer to the people, and instead they retreated. What a wasted chance, lamented a cultural scholar from Oxford University. And unexpectedly, the public's gaze turned toward Catherine. The Princess of Wales, once celebrated as the commoner bride, the middle-class voice in the palace, found herself at the center of the storm. Questions began to swirl. Did Catherine truly agree with this decision? Did she, once the symbol of a modern monarchy, willingly endorse the old path? According to reports from Vanity Fair and People, the princess had long expressed reservations, and only recently came to reluctant acceptance under certain conditions. This narrative sparked a wave of sympathy. I believe Kate never wanted her son to follow the old road, but she alone cannot transform the institution, one Reddit user posted, earning thousands of upvotes. Meanwhile, the international media cast the story in an entirely different light. not one of school choice, but of power dynamics within palace walls. A feature in InStyle observed, whatever the final outcome, the George Eaton affair reveals a deeper truth. Kate and William are not always aligned, and the inner workings of the monarchy remain riddled with silent negotiation. Marie Claire went further, calling it a pivotal moment in William's path to the throne, where his authority begins to surpass his wife's wishes. And what of the public sentiment? Many young Britons expressed quiet disappointment. I wanted to see George at a public school with children like mine. That would have changed how we see the monarchy. Others took a more measured stance. We can't demand the royal family change simply to please us, but they must know the more distant they seem, the easier it becomes to lose the nation's trust. And amid this unfolding debate, young George, just 12 years old, quietly takes his first steps into adulthood, into a world where every move, every choice is no longer personal. It becomes commentary. It becomes policy. And even if he never asked for it, every decision whispers of the future king he is destined to be. There is one name that was never publicly mentioned in William and Kate's decision, yet her presence lingers like a quiet shadow behind every hesitation, every internal struggle. That name is Diana. According to Marie Claire, Princess Diana once strongly opposed sending Prince Harry to Eton. She believed the school, with its iron discipline, fierce competition, and closed-off culture, was too emotionally cold, too distant, a place that may produce a king, but risks suffocating the individuality and sensitivity of a young boy. Harry is not a copy of Charles, and he doesn't belong in the world of Eton, Diana once said in an emotional interview. Today, many royal experts see in Kate Middleton something of Diana's spirit, perhaps more than anyone else in the royal family. A modern, emotionally attuned mother, Kate is not just the wife of the heir to the throne. She is the mother of 3 children growing up under the towering shadow of destiny. Like Diana once did, Kate wants her children to live, to breathe, to feel, not merely obey and perform their royal roles. She doesn't want George to become a royal machine. She wants him to be a person first, a royal insider told People. But how much freedom does Kate truly have between her maternal instincts and the crushing weight of tradition? The fact that George has now been placed in a house at Eton, as widely reported, may be a strategic compromise, or worse, a quiet surrender of the values Diana once championed. If Diana were still here, would she have agreed, one journalist who knew her closely asked in Vanity Fair. This is no longer just a debate about education. It's about something much deeper. A conflict between emotion and duty, between maternal love and royal obligation. And within that conflict lies a haunting truth. Diana once stood alone in her choices as a mother. Is Kate now facing the same lonely battle? Perhaps it is the memory of Diana that has shaped Kate's long years of contemplation. And maybe, even if George does attend Eton, in Kate's heart there remains an open space for something else, a different future. One where monarchy is not just performed, but truly felt. It may not be a victory, but without a doubt it is Diana's legacy, and Kate is quietly carrying it forward. Even now, with the decision made, even as George prepares to walk through the legendary gates of Eton. One question remains. Is he truly meant for it? Eton is unlike any other school. With over 1,300 years of tradition, it is not merely an institution of learning. It is a machine, a great leveler designed to produce prime ministers, scholars, leaders, and kings. At Eton, boys board from age 13 to 18. Life is divided into bells, timetables, and traditions that trace back centuries. Freedom is a luxury, and for a 13-year-old boy, such rigidity can be hard to swallow. There's nothing personal at Eton. You either blend into the collective or you're left behind, remarked one former pupil. And George, though born into royalty, is still a child of the TikTok generation, of YouTube and softer values. He may have stood tall at royal ceremonies, clad in tailored suits, hand in hand with his mother on the steps of Buckingham Palace. But he's also the boy who bursts into laughter on the football pitch, hides behind Kate's dress when chased by paparazzi, and holds Princess Charlotte's hand with a warmth that melts the moment. Will such a demanding environment dull that light? Many psychologists warn if a child does not feel a sense of belonging where they learn, they not only struggle academically, they risk losing themselves. George is not William. He is growing up in a different world. A world without Diana, but with Kate, a mother who places her children's emotional well-being above all. A world where blind devotion to monarchy no longer exists, replaced by media scrutiny, social pressure, and the ever-watchful gaze of a more skeptical public. And perhaps because of this, many believe George is the bridge between tradition and modernity. The royal heir who could redefine what it means to lead. If George can endure Eton, not only as an excellent student, but as a young man who retains his individuality, it will be a triumph not just for the monarchy, but for the quiet, progressive ideals that Kate has long nurtured. A future king who does not simply reign by protocol, but connects through compassion. Who is not merely respected, but truly loved. And maybe the question we should be asking is not, does George deserve Eton? But rather, does Eton deserve George? We have witnessed an entire journey, from centuries-old royal traditions to the quiet debates behind palace doors, and finally to the moment Prince George officially becomes a student at Eton. But this is not just the story of a boy going to school. It is a mirror of modern Britain, a nation wrestling with its identity in the 21st century, to preserve tradition or to embrace the modern age, to act for image or to act for what truly matters. To Prince William, heir to the throne, Eton represents discipline, honor, and prestige. To Kate, a modern, empathetic mother, Eton may feel like a cold and distant mold, unfit for the gentle childhood she envisions for her son. And for George, a 13-year-old bearing the weight of a kingdom, Eton may be his first great challenge or the most defining lesson of his life. But truly, in a world of endless protocol, unyielding rules, and relentless media attention, is there any place truly right for a child destined to be the future of a kingdom? We have seen what happens when a royal child is forced to become what the palace wants them to be. Diana was the clearest proof. She was not born into a world of social media, and yet, even then, the coldness and pressure within the royal circle were enough to crush the most tender soul. And now we are seeing a new generation of Diana, not as a wife, but as a mother, Kate Middleton, a woman who not only understands what it means to marry into royalty, but who also deeply understands the emotional world of her children. A woman who, though silent, is quietly trying to bend the image of monarchy, to make it softer, more human, and more in tune with a child's heart. The decision to send George to Eton, despite all the debate, is the clearest example of this constant tug of war between tradition and transformation, image and emotion, royal duty and personal growth. George may become the first royal child in history to not only carry the insignia of succession, but also be raised to be a man of empathy, humility, and authenticity, free from the rigid molds of the past. And ultimately, the question is no longer, where will George go to school? But rather, what does the British monarchy truly want to become in the eyes of the world? Will George's generation follow the old path, or lead the monarchy into a new era, where kindness, connection, and humanity are no longer optional, but essential? Only time will tell.